And welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P-Bush. How are you fellas doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Mixed fantasy week. Had some wins, had some losses. Definitely some consistencies that we may not have expected week over week. Your boy A-Chain Zoo, obviously, coming back strong after an unbelievable godly performance in week 3. Bears, man, just back in that toxic relationship. You know how it goes, fellas. We've been friends for pushing 3 years now, and nothing's changed, man. Nothing's changed. So, checking in with a Bears fan, you might want to check in with your friends that are Bears fans.
It's all good. Like I said, man, let the tank begin. Look at those draft picks in the future, man, because you're going to get 2 of those bad boys. So potentially you get a transcendent quarterback and a transcendent wide receiver. So you got to look at the future, man, because the present ain't pretty. Ain't pretty, man, blowing up. 20 plus to 20 point game.
21-point lead, man.
21-point lead to the Denver Broncos, a team that's been struggling all year trying to get it done, and they were able to make a miracle comeback. So all you got to do is look towards the future for Bears.
Yeah, I've been saying that for my entire life, Zoo, so I appreciate that.
But not every draft got a Caleb Williams coming up.
Hey, you're not wrong.
I said not every draft got a guy like this. Last year was a Bryce Young. Like, there's a reason they got rid of that pick. A Bryce Young wasn't going to change the whole franchise for the Chicago Bears, especially a guy of that size and stature who looks real small as a football player, man. But fantasy football, man, I love it. I hate it sometimes, man. Heartbreak, joy, like you feel all the emotions in the world, man. Like you dominate, drop 170, beat a team by 50 points. You feeling good. I'm in another league. I dropped 140. Other team got 98 points, feeling good. And then you have those games when you go off for 164 and the other team drops 167. And all I needed was that brother Harrison Butker to get one more field goal on that last drive. I watched the entire game for a kicker and a defense because I had Chiefs defense.
Oh, that's desperate.
So I was watching for the kicker and the defense. And Patrick Mahomes had to make that run and get that first down. If he was stopped there, they would have settled for the field goal, and I would have won that league. And I think I deserved it because my team went the hell off, man. But losing that, heartbreak, man. But I was like, okay, Monday night is another chance for redemption for one of my other leagues. Nope. Tyler Lockett, man. I needed that brother to get 9.9 points. I
forgot about Tyler Lockett.
9.9, man. That's all I needed. I was like, Tyler Lockett, man, give me like 60, 70 yards, couple of receptions, man. I get the W. Nope. I lose by 2 points. I drop 125. I lose to 125 to 127. I needed my brother Tyler Lockett to get one additional catch for 19 yards, man. I was watching all game for that. Nope.
You sat through that whole game too. Oof.
Yeah, I don't know.
Brutal, man.
Oh, when I saw that pick six, I knew it was over.
Yeah.
Why did Danny Dimes do that? And now
that
Memphis was going to run the ball, and it was game over. The minute Danny Dimes threw that pick six, I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. So it was back-to-back Monday night, Sunday night heartbreaks. This is why I hate having guys on those nights, because I swear to God, this happens a lot. Just having that one dude, and it ain't a Justin Jefferson relying on Tyler Lockett and a defense and a kicker. Have mercy on your soul, man. So the last 2 nights, not going to lie, man. It should have been a 4-1 week, man, but turned out to be a 2-3 week, man, because of those 2 losses. So
hey, can't win them all, too.
I know, man. I know.
Daniel Jones, talk about a regression. That's a tough. If you like drafted him in your fantasy league, like thinking he was just because he was such a rushing upside, like that's a tough one. Because Daniel Jones, I don't think he gets benched because they paid him, but Tyrod Taylor is looking over his shoulder.
If I do say so myself.
Who
made me a starter again?
Danny Dimes minus Saquon Barkley probably equals Mitchell Trubisky, man. Like, Jesus Christ, he's just
might be worse. He might be worse.
He's worse.
He's a different man without Saquon in that offense. Like, the offensive line is not that good, and he's just not that good of a player. Like, Darren Waller's barely being used.
They might need to make some trades, man. Make some trades for a better quarterback in this year's draft.
They paid that guy a lot of money, man. Should have franchise tagged him, man. That's all I got to say.
I wonder if there's ever going to be, and trust me, the people who are watching this pod, we're going to talk the Dame trade in like a few seconds, but I wonder if there's ever going to be a correction on the market with just like paying average quarterbacks, because there's no other position that you pay average players. Like, I don't know if the NFL is ever going to wisen up and like, do we really need to pay a guy who his ceiling can get us to 8-8, maybe the playoffs, but his ceiling is 8-8 and his floor is like 4-10 or 3-12.
You'd
Like
thank
that's
Joe
his floor.
Flacco for that.
Yeah.
Thank Joe Flacco for
I
that
don't know if
start.
there's ever teams are going to stop doing that, especially with how they talked about the rookie scales. With like, it wasn't like back in the day where you're paying the rookie like quarterback $1 trillion. Like now, the scale is making it a little bit more easier to get off a player. I wonder if they wisen up because everyone knows like without Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones is not even an average quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But
and I know we're talking about that, but inflated contracts, man, that's a perfect segue into NBA talk. I'll just put it that way.
Very true. You know, we were not able to pod when Dame was officially traded to the Bucks. It's been a lot of scuttlebutt around the league from, you know, pretty much beginning of this year throughout the summer. And then, you know, Dame made his demands about getting to Miami, and he only wanted to go to Miami. And then you started hearing more rumors about how he kind of loosened up those demands. Even some talk about him wanting to go back, but he ended up with the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis got his next co-star, and also the residuals of that trade. Jrue ended up getting shipped to the Celtics. So I wanted to ask the guys what are their thoughts of the Dame trade and parlaying that to the Jrue trade. And Peebush, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, well, I know the big pieces are obviously Celtics and the Bucks here. Obviously, close to home, man. Being from Chicago, Bucks got to face them a ton. Being a Bulls fan, it's not gonna be fun. But hey, if I can go see a Bulls Bucks game, hey man, that'd be sick to see both Giannis and Damian Lillard. I had the pleasure of watching Lillard play this past year, actually in Portland, and it was just awesome to watch how fluid he is with the game. So, Bucks are obviously getting a bona fide star. I'm very interested to see how their pick and roll game is. These are two guys that kind of need the ball to dominate. Giannis is not your typical ball dominating NBA star because obviously he can get offensive rebounds, can find his own way a bit, but he does need the ball in his hand because he's not the greatest dribbler in the world, right? He just kind of takes 2 steps from the 3-point line and then he's right there for a finger roll, man. So I think it's going to be really cool to watch. I think it's huge that they were able to keep Brook Lopez, couple other guys there. But Jrue Holiday was a big loss. So I'll start with the Bucks a bit. Perimeter defense, this team has perennially been one of the top, if not the top defensive team in the league, with Budenholzer kind of with his system, whatever you want to call it. But Jrue Holiday was the glue of that defense. We know what Giannis can do defensively, but Jrue Holiday across the league, I'm sure, if you're a podcast listener, you've heard multiple people talk about Jrue Holiday and his ability to lock up anybody from Kevin Durant down to CP3. There's really not many guys that he cannot stop on the perimeter. And it is a beautiful thing to watch if you're a defensive fan in basketball. I know Zoo's not, but he respects Jrue Holiday. I know he does. And the Celtics are getting another stud defensive guard. That's just absolutely ridiculous. They ship off Brogdon, who was pretty mediocre for them. I wouldn't say he was great. May have a couple good games here and there, but I think this is definitely an upgrade. Jrue Holiday is a perennial all-star. And at this point, I'm actually happiest for the Blazers. I think they finally got this Lillard thing off their back. I know he's been there for, however many years, pushing 10 years, I want to say. They got a good haul, Zoo. They not only do they get Jrue Holiday, they get DeAndre Ayton, who I think is an upgrade health-wise compared to Yusuf Nurkic. He's always been in and out of their lineup for however many years he's been there. They have some young budding stars. I think they also got some great draft capital with the flip, obviously of Lillard, but also the flip of Jrue out to Boston. So I just think they're finally bought into the rebuild aspect, but it's not like they're starting from complete scratch. They have some solid young talent. So I am interested to see how they progress over the next 5-6 years with their draft picks coming their way. But I do think that this makes the Celtics the front runner, and I'm not misspeaking here. I think this makes the Celtics the front runner in the Eastern Conference. They just shored up their point guard position that had been not mishandled, but maybe jumbled between however many defensive guards that they've had, and now they have a true guy who can, he can shoot 2 for 20 on any given night, but he will shut down your best player, and he'll have random games where he'll win it for you. So I think this just solidifies their backcourt. Obviously, we know what Jason and Jalen can do on that team. The only thing that I'm concerned about is how they're going to shore up their anchor on defense at the center position. Kind of curious to see which way they go on that front, but I think the Celtics just gave up a lot, and I'm interested to see how their team chemistry is with Lillard and Giannis, whereas I think Jrue will fit more seamlessly into the Celtics offense. So I have the Celtics slightly as higher favorites to come out of the East than the Bucks this year.
Wow. Man, I can't believe you just said you're worried about the chemistry between Dame and Giannis. Because I feel like that chemistry will be immediate, man. Absolutely immediate. Because their skill sets match, man.
Talking more about the loss of Jrue, Zoo. Not between them. I'm talking about the loss of Jrue Holiday.
Man, Jrue Holiday, whatever, man. Jrue Holiday's a defender. He's a better perimeter defender than Damian Lillard. Everyone knows that. By far.
Yeah.
Well, offensively, Damian Lillard. Oh, but Jrue Holiday can't shy Dame's shoes, man, on offense. Because Jrue Holiday on offense sometimes is a liability. Like, sometimes he jacks up some really bad shots. Yeah. Like, he's not the greatest passer as a point guard position. He's more of a scoring guard. He's more of a combo type guard. He just had to play point because he wasn't on the Bucks. And that pick and roll, which wasn't that dangerous because he wasn't a guy that can make the traditional pass, the beautiful pass to Giannis to set him up. You're getting a guy in Dame Dollar, man. When you get a pick and roll with Giannis, I don't even know what you do. Because you go set down. If you go under the screen, Dame Lillard going to hit a three with you.
Yep.
If they double team him, you give it to a guy in Giannis who could dribble down and dunk, and Giannis is a good passer. So you help on Giannis. Giannis is going to pass it to the wide open Pat Connaughton or Chris Middleton or Brook Lopez, Splash Mountain down there. So he got a guy that is the perfect partner on offense.
I agree.
And on defense.
On offense.
The Bucks, and the thing on defense, you got guys in Brook Lopez, who was up there in Defensive Player of the Year, and Giannis manning the paint so they can help Damian Lillard on defense. Like, Damian Lillard just got to be a good team defender, man.
Just funnel the guys down there.
And he doesn't do that, man.
No, he can do that on the Bucks, man. He can do that on the Bucks. Get all these long, lanky dudes, man. Just forcing the paint. Brook Lopez, this little thing. Giannis with his help defense, man. It's a perfect fit. I can't believe the Bucks pulled off this trade because I remember when you texted me that. It wasn't a Woj bomb, man. It was a P. Bush bomb, man, when I saw my text. I was like, what? I was there. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I saw it 30 seconds after he posted it.
I was like, what the heck? They pulled it off because there were no
curveball.
I don't know about you guys, but I didn't hear any rumors. I heard a little Toronto. Like, they were in
they talked about Toronto.
I was like, that was a little weird. That threw me off. Like, Toronto, that team ain't ready to contend. I always thought like Miami was going to be a destination. But the Milwaukee Bucks management, man, just gets stuff done. You got a guy in Jrue Holiday who's getting up there in age, and they're like, okay, Giannis is all about winning championships. Let's get him a superstar complimentary guy. Because Damian Lillard is a superstar. So they got their dynamic duo of the future, and Giannis and Dame. Even Dame's up there in age, but I think it's like a compliment that's similar to Jokic and Jamal Murray. The big with the small, the shooter with the big, complementary skill sets, high pick and roll. And they can do a little Giannis, and then let Lillard set the pick and roll, man. I don't even know how you stop that because Giannis can ball handle a little. So I feel like the fit is just so seamless. And Damian Lillard's ready to win. He's ready for the playoff. Like, I want to see this guy at a high level. Like, he's finally getting the opportunity after being that Portland Trailblazers team that was tanking the last 2 years. I don't know if you guys saw the report, but pretty much the general manager of the Trailblazers told Damian Lillard to sit out, saying we're get a higher draft pick and we use that draft pick to trade for a veteran to help you in the future, and be like, you have a leg injury, a lower leg injury, pretty much fabricating an injury.
The game I was at, they pulled them in the fourth quarter.
They pulled them in the fourth? Yeah.
In March, and that was mid to late March of last year. So call it the last 3 weeks. It
was openly tanking. It was openly tanking. Paid off because they got Shaden Sharp and pretty much have to get not Shaden. They got Shaden Sharp and then Scoot Henderson by tanking the last 2 years. So taking it did pay off. They hit on their draft picks. Good for them. So now they're going to full rebuild, which makes sense. You ship Dame off. You get DeAndre Ayton. You get Jrue Holiday. You flip him for more picks and Malcolm Brogdon. And I feel like they might be able to trade Malcolm Brogdon for some more picks and young players. I don't think it's done with the Portland Trailblazers. So
the Bulls.
I don't know. That dude's always. I don't need another.
I'm about to say you'll have two injured point guards.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need another injured guy.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't need another injured guy.
I guess what I want to ask is, you haven't mentioned anything. You didn't mention anything about the Celtics.
Oh,
are you not nervous about the Celtics? Because they got I think you could argue that they have a top 4. Their top 4 players in their starting lineup are
their
pretty
top
damn
6
good.
is probably maybe
top
if
6.
everyone's healthy is probably almost the
Smart.
best in the league.
Because their perimeter defense is going to be unbelievable with Jrue Holiday and Derek White. Both these guys made All-NBA defense last year. So these guys are in their prime on defense. So at the point of attacking the front man, they're going to give backcourts living hell outside. But you mentioned Rob Williams gone, and I love myself some Rob Williams, especially in the playoffs as a rim runner and a defender. Like Kristaps Porzingis, we haven't seen him in a playoff situation and how that will happen if people will target him on pick and rolls. And I think he's a pretty good shot blocker. We'll see him on pick and roll defense against quick guards and see if he gets a exploit on that end. Because Rob Williams on defense was elite. I thought he was their best defensive player, better than Marcus Smart. And pretty much now they pretty much got rid of Marcus Smart. They got a better version of Marcus Smart and Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they upgraded on from Marcus Smart to Jrue Holiday, but took giving up a guy, Rob Williams, who I love so much. But we'll see Porzingis, Al Horford. He's getting up there in age. He's even older. Like Big Al's old. Now he's even a year another older, and he's going to have a handful guarding pick and rolls in the playoffs. So good luck to that. But, yeah, I agree. The Boston Celtics made some significant changes with their team. With getting
without giving up too much.
Yeah. Like, they got rid of,
the picks don't matter with Tatum.
Picks don't really matter. And they still have additional picks. It's like they still have additional assets they can use to get more complementary players on the roster, maybe supported by the bench or like a 6-man type guy. So, man, it is an arms race in the East right now because they saw Miami in the finals, and they're like, Miami making the 8th seed? That's even a bunch of G Leaguers making it. The time to strike
pissed them off
now. You got the 76ers with that James Harden fiasco going on.
Still wants to trade, I see.
Yeah, oh, man, that is an absolute disaster in Philly. You got Joel Embiid going to interviews talking about, I don't know, Philly, my future. Who knows? Like, that dude might give one more summer. He might be asking out. So Philly's an absolute disaster. GM being called a liar, having to defend himself. So that situation there was an absolute disaster. Like, atrocity. The Miami Heat are done. They're absolutely done. Like, I love Jimmy Buckets, but they lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Max Jrue, so their starting backcourt is completely gone. Pretty much getting ready for Damian Lillard's arrival or preparing the trade assets for that. They couldn't get the deal done. Future, they were looking to get Giannis in the future. Giannis is not going to commit after seeing the Milwaukee Bucks getting him Damian Lillard. So they're out of the Giannis race in the future. And you're going to have Jimmy Butler with old-ass Kyle Lowry as his point guard. That's what's going to happen, man. So Miami Heat, done. No chance at all. Losing.
Pretty sure you said that last year.
Giannis getting hurt.
Yeah, Giannis getting
a lot.
Hurt. Yeah, they did beat the Boston Celtics. Both rosters very healthy, but now this Celtics and Bucks roster is a 2-man race in the East. Yeah. It's an absolute 2-man race in the East, and I don't even think it's actually close at all with Philly's disastrous.
It's a cliff.
And the Miami Heat's decisions of not getting the Damian Lillard trade done, or like, I don't know, like, Jesus Christ, man. It's an absolute disaster for those teams. But I give props to Milwaukee, a small market team, for pulling this off. Yeah. Major props. And
Bulls could learn something.
Yeah, Brad Stevens as a general manager, I think he's done a hell of a job being second year like GM. Yes. So he's doing a hell of a job. So props to those franchises for getting on. This is what championship contender teams should do. Organizations do. And both those organizations are quality. There's a reason why those two organizations have already made the NBA Finals in the last 5 years. That's what winners do.
Exactly.
I do think I think Milwaukee is definitely got the killer instinct in terms of just getting deals done. And they know what they have with Giannis. Giannis is a once-in-a-lifetime type of player for that organization. So they look at it as, oh, Giannis, you're making weird comments in the offseason. Let's fix that. Let's go get Dame. I think that's just how the GM looks at it. I think he looks at it like, nah, we're not losing this guy.
And did you guys hear about this? The GM did not tell Giannis about trading Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
He did not want Giannis to feel guilty about like approving, like trading one of his like friends on the team.
Probably the better move.
He's just like, nah, we getting this done. We getting you a Dame down, and you're gonna appreciate it, and you're not gonna feel any guilt. It's on our hands, not your hands. I love that about the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks.
It's a good management decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you don't put your best player in
an awkward situation,
a tough situation with one of his closest friends.
Yep.
I mean, you could say he did the same thing. I think, what was it, trading for Jimmy Butler, and he didn't want to trade Middleton or something like that, right? They kind of went through that with the rumors back in 2019. which is why Jimmy kind of started firing back, saying tampering and all that stuff, right? There just seemed to be a little bit of contention in those parties. But, yeah, man, props to the Bucks for pulling that off, dude. I was shocked when I saw it, and I was like, how did Zoo not tell me first? And I realized it was posted 30 seconds ago. So I was like, oh, okay, there you go.
Wild. And there was some foreshadowing. If you guys saw the All-Star game that happened this year, Giannis had the first overall pick, and everyone was assuming he's going to take his teammate Jrue Holiday. He took Damian Lillard. He took Damian Lillard first overall. And
Zoo into the Easter eggs, man, of the NBA
exactly.
script.
That is such an Easter egg. And you know what he said?
About that.
LeBron James made a comment. He's like, he looked at Giannis. He's like, I see what you're doing. Because that's something LeBron James would do, man.
It is what he would do.
Man. It is an absolute thing, like fraternizing during All-Star weekend, like getting to know each other. So LeBron James was like, oh, I see you, Giannis, and he got it done. So I got to give Giannis for recruiting Damian Lillard to want to come to his team, because Damian Lillard wanted to go to the Milwaukee because of Giannis Antetokounmpo to play with that guy. So shout out to Giannis.
But also, he also, I think his number one pick was Ant, which I think at that time he's part of his agency, but I also think that was a slick move for like AD if he still stays in LA. Like Ant, if he's, I think he already signed his rookie extension, but it's like if he gets upset with Minnesota, that could definitely be a landing spot. Yeah. But I do think Jrue Holiday, I saw a lot of comparisons with Marcus Smart. I just think flat out Drew's a better player. I also think he's a better shooter. Now, some could say Marcus maybe is a slightly better playmaker, but I just feel like defensively on the perimeter, Jrue Holiday is going to be a problem for a lot of guards, not just Dame, but like a lot of guards in the East. Like second person I thought of was Trae Young. Like that's going to be a tough matchup, especially with that whole, because last year with Boston, like I know he was able to steal a game at Boston with that crazy shot that he hit, but I do think that Drew is going to nullify a lot of that. But for me, I was high on the Bucks last year with Giannis, and to me, Giannis, how he took Boston basically 7 games. I don't know if it wasn't last year, but the year before that, he took them 7 games with just him and Middleton and all that stuff. Like I think him having Dame is just going to be a cheat code. I am wondering with the Bucks, they have a guy they drafted last year, Marjon, like Beauchamp. I think he's like a 6'7" wing, 7'2" wingspan. He's supposedly their 3-and-D guy who he actually looked good in the summer league. I think one game I watched, he had like 23 points, but he could be someone who, I know in the league, we always like say 3-and-D guys, we put them on the best player and they could shut down. Well, nobody's shutting anybody down, but I do think he has the potential if he continues to grow. Because now I feel like he's going to have way more playing time because the depth is a little bit thinner and the ball is going to be going through Dame and Giannis. I do think that if he continues to have a decent ascension, thinking knowing he was a first round pick, maybe he could be someone that you can throw him Brown or Tatum just to slow them down just a little bit. Because I don't think Jrue is going to be a guy come playoff time where you're going to be seeing, oh, he's got 25 points or oh, he's got 30. Like he would have to get unbelievably hot from 3. I don't think that's happening. He's going to be a spot up guy.
My concern, and it's not any concern with the Bucks, I'm actually interested to see how, because I think we can all agree, as long as health is not an issue, Bucks and Celtics could end up being the Eastern Conference Finals, right?
Yeah, it will be.
You're talking about Jrue Holiday getting to guard the guy that they traded him for. And he's somebody that's what he strives on and takes personally. Yeah. He will make Damian Lillard's life a living hell, and that's all he'll care about. That's why I'm giving the Celtics the edge. And it's not because he'll have an animosity against Giannis. I think he's saying, okay, you can trade me or whatever, but you got to remember, I was on that championship team. I helped, ball one.
I threw the alley to Giannis against Phoenix.
Lillard's never done anything. Lillard's never done anything in the playoffs. He's like, I'm going to show you exactly why you made the wrong decision. And even if he only does it once, he has to just assert himself at least in one series.
And he has a history. I don't know if you remember, the Pelicans played the Blazers in the playoffs, and the Blazers got swept. And that was the Jrue Holiday, Anthony Davis team. And Jrue Holiday absolutely destroyed Damian Lillard, man. He locked him down.
Dude,
Jrue plays with physicality on defense. He's one of those guys, like he's struggling against Jimmy because Jimmy's just a bigger guy than him. Like Jrue Holiday's a guard. Like he does a lot better on guarding like point guards and 2 guards, traditional 2
way
guards.
Better Pat Bev.
So,
yeah, he's a way better Pat Bev. But like I just mean with the tenacity.
Respect to Pat Bev, but nah.
It's the tenacity, though, that they take defense so seriously.
He'll be motivated for sure.
They want to embarrass you. It's like a cornerback in the NFL. They just want to embarrass you. That's their whole job. And I just think he'll. That's why I'm giving the slight edge to the Celtics. If you're a betting man at the beginning of the season,
what I think about though with the Celtics is I could see Jrue affecting Dame, but I still think it comes down to Tatum and Brown. Like,
absolutely.
What if, like you said, if they do it for one game, if Jrue gets Dame for one game, I don't think he's going to be able to do that for an entire series. And also, too, I know Jrue had a great year last year, I guess, but I mean, he is getting older, and I feel like we love to put these labels of defensive stoppers, but it's like I think next year will be his last year as being like an elite defender because he is 33, and it's not like with offense where if you're an elite scorer, you can kind of age gracefully, like how Dame is kind of showing us, because Dame's not young either.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think that team with Boston is going to be more about if Tatum and Brown can figure it out. Because we also got to think, too, if the one thing I would argue if I was a Celtics fan is like maybe Drew's going to bring some killer instinct because Boston doesn't have it. That's why I'm kind of like how I was with them with how I was with Denver last year. It's like, okay, Jokic, let's just finish the job and go win a championship. Like, I'm tired of hearing about, oh, we got all this. Go win it. Because you've been winning all this stuff before. Tatum and Brown. They were down 3-0 to like Zeus said, a G League Miami Heat team. Why in the hell would I put confidence in them thinking they're going to get to the finals and win it? No, they were down 3-0 to a team that had Gabe Vincent, which he got paid, Max Strus, who also got a bag. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's never about the talent with Boston. It's, do you have the killer instinct to go do it? Because the guy that I'm looking at, Giannis, he's done it. And he went against Phoenix and he beat them in a game 6, put up 50. So it's like, to me, it's like, I'm in a wait and see mode with Boston. Also, too, Porzingis is I know Drew's an X factor, but I think Porzingis is going to be a really big X factor because if he can stay healthy, I'm not saying he's going to be a super guy that's going to be a defensive guy, but I do think him just being a stretch in the corner, like when you got Jrue and Tatum and all them, like just having that reliable guy in the corner to shoot a three, like I like that a lot. I just need him to stay healthy.
He's their new he would if he could stay healthy.
Ideally, you would want him playing, like if he's healthy, you want him playing a lot of minutes and Al Horford just saving him for the playoffs. Ideally. Now, if Porzingis can't stay healthy, then you're going to have to force Al Horford. And I do think they can maybe find, because the one thing about big men in the league, like unless you're Jokic, Embiid, I mean, who else?
Yes.
Like
that's pretty
the
much
dude
it.
from the dude from Houston, who I like a lot. Like, or the dude from Utah, Walker Kessler. Like, if you're not one of those guys who's got like a lot of potential, you just need to be 6'9", 6'10", burly, and just physical. Like, you just need and you catch a lob. Like, that's all I kind of need for my big man. And I think
Boston Thompson incoming.
That might be a guy. He's still in the league, man. He's still in the league. He's still in the league, bro.
He's got to pay that child support somehow.
I don't think LeBron James is going to bail him out again, man.
Didn't he already play with Boston at one point? Or was that Milwaukee?
Yeah,
Tristan.
He was awful.
I think he did.
He was
yeah.
Awful.
So I don't know. They might not spin the block on that one. But like Bismack Biyombo, who is he playing for?
He'd
be perfect
still
for
in
Boston.
the league somehow, man. He was on the team when they were the Bobcats back in the
day. But Bismack like a top 10 pick?
I think he might have been like
Michael Jordan, baby. Yeah. Michael Jordan never fails to
Michael Jordan, special.
$3 billion. Don't hate on the man.
He's a businessman.
I saw
that. A GM.
He sold, man. He sold. He's done.
Yeah, but it's. I do think I think people should make the point. It's the top two of Milwaukee and Boston, and if everyone is healthy, there's no injuries. I think they're going to be the top two. Like you said, I think this might be Philly's swan song. I think Harden's going to cause a lot of confusion and heartache, and I also think Embiid is going to be like, this is probably my last year. With Miami, the dudes are just, it's just going to be hard for me to think they have more people in the G League system that's just going to come up and,
there's
turn up for him.
Embiid to Miami.
That would be a night. Now, if that happened, it gets super interesting because if you tell me Embiid is doing not even just pick and rolls with Embiid, but just the defensive mentality they would have if Embiid comes in focus. Like, I actually think if Harden was on the straight and narrow, he went to Miami, that would make them super interesting.
Yeah,
if Harden went to Miami. Yeah, he ain't got the discipline, but if they could get him to be decent.
All I see is Harden clubbing.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's kind of on his, like I said, swan song. I don't know if he's long for the league, and he better get the camp. I think they got a new deal. They got the new deal or new thing where I think it's if he's not in the camp by 14 days. If he's not there by 14 days, I think he starts getting like fined a crap load of money. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that Dame trade followed by the Jrue trade and just the after effects of that with Phoenix getting their parts too. That was definitely a notch for the NBA because anytime you can get content during the NFL season and it becomes like major news, it's always a win for the NBA. So,
Yep.
Shifting our focus to the NFL, I don't know if you guys were watching, which everybody watches this podcast knows that Thursday night football is usually a pretty decent game. So the Lions and Packers were playing, and watching that from start to finish, I was just like, man, the Lions look like a team that's on a mission. They just look super dominant. They look like a team who is heard. A lot of people boost them up, and then they're not, boost them up into being like the division champs. And I think they're like, hey, we actually have a squad that can make it to the playoffs and make some noise. So I just started thinking to myself, like, what are some like long shot odds? What are some things that you're looking at team wise? Like everyone knows the favorites in NFC and AFC, but it's like, what are some teams that are on the back burner? Which I wouldn't say the Lions on the back burner, but in terms of like a long term Super Bowl odds, like people are not thinking of them as being that. What are the chances of them doing that? So I wanted to pose the question to the guys dealing with the Lions and the Dolphins. If you had to place a future bet on them making the Super Bowl, which one would you pick? The Lions or oh man, who did I say? I just forgot the name.
The Dolphins.
Dolphins. I don't know why I was thinking of Bills because I was like, that's a stupid bet. But
Because they just
the
kicked the Dolphins' ass.
yeah, for sure. That was a hell of a statement. But the Dolphins and the Lions. P. Wish, I'm gonna start with you.
Oh man, this is tough. Because I think you look at this is how I was breaking it down because I think you posted the odds when we were talking about this earlier today, but I think the
plus
Lions
2,000 Lions
plus
and
2,000 Lions,
I think
1,300 for the Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins. Yeah.
And I understand why. I think the Dolphins have looked like the more explosive team, the exciting team, the team that Vegas knows people would start to put their money into, right? Especially when they score 70 points in a game. Now, to Zoo's point earlier, it's against the Broncos, right? Just like my Bears finally looked decent, but he loved to caveat it was against the Broncos. And we kind of saw why. I mean, I don't think in that game against the Broncos they had Jalen Waddle. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't think he was playing that game in week 3. Well, they had him back this past week. They're fully healthy. We saw what A-Chain can do. He still puts up 26 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. Mostert has a little bit of a hard time. Nice in the receiving game, but he fumbled. Tua just didn't do enough. But the defense is missing a little something, and by God, did the Bills take advantage. And what that shows me is, one, they're not the best team in their division. I think a lot of people assume that the Jets and the Bills were going to be up there. Obviously, we know the Jets situation. So now I do think the Dolphins are the favorite for the AFC wild card. I think it's between them and the Chargers. It's going to come down to, like, obviously we know there's 3 spots, but I just mean like the 5th, 6th, or 7th seed. I see the Dolphins locking up the 5th seed in the AFC. I just think the Bills have their number. But my issue is when you look at the Lions, they have an easier route to win the division. The Vikings have been struggling, barely winning against the Panthers. Yikes. Obviously, we know the Bears situation. Packers are just a bit on and off. Jordan Love loves to, pun intended, he loves to go behind, and then he just like has a beast fantasy performance in like the late 3rd quarter, 4th quarter that gives you 20 fantasy points, but they just come up short or they barely win a game. So I think the Lions are just the most complete team in the NFC North, and I think it's by a relative long shot. But my issue is when you're talking about coming out of the respective conferences to get to the Super Bowl, I think the NFC is harder than the AFC. And that's why I just think the Niners, the Eagles, and the Cowboys would all have the Lions number. If they could beat one team, I think that they would probably be able to stick with the Cowboys a little bit. That's just because Trayvon Diggs is out, so I think Amon-Ra would end up taking full advantage. We haven't seen Jameson Williams yet. Obviously, David Montgomery came back with a surge off of his brief injury, and we know what Jahmyr Gibbs can do if they decide to utilize him. But their defense has been hella impressive so far this year. My issue is that I would have to lean towards the Dolphins because even though the Bills are winning the division, I just don't believe in the Ravens. Just, man, they're just a roller coaster every week. The Bills are scary. The Chiefs have not looked as dominant as we've seen them in years past. Obviously, we know that can change, and Andy Reid, I'm sure, will get the train back on tracks. But I just think that the Dolphins have a slightly better chance to make it out of their conference than the Lions do. But I do not want to be facing the Bills in Buffalo in January if I am a Miami Dolphins team.
Mm-hmm.
They would get
Because it's
destroyed.
probably snowing. It's probably
It's
snowing too.
going to be snowing. The only positive is they've proved the one thing that we were concerned about, and that was their running game. A lot of people thought maybe they'd be in the hunt for Jonathan Taylor. Well, no, they found A-Chain, obviously the rookie, and Raheem Mostert's been a monster too. So it's not that they can't run the ball. I just think Tua might end up making one or two bad throws that could easily flip that game. And we saw that this past weekend, let alone in negative degree weather with snow coming down. So I am gonna lean towards the Dolphins because I just think they have a slightly easier path. But I just don't see either one of these teams making the Super Bowl. But if I am a betting man, I'll take the favorite out of the two and go with the plus 1,300 Dolphins.
Wow. You're rational about the conferences and why you pick them. And that's the reason why I'm picking the Detroit Lions.
Really?
I'm picking the Detroit Lions.
I'm with you.
Wow.
I'm telling you this, man. The Buffalo Bills, that was one of the most impressive games ever because I thought that was going to be a shootout on both sides. Like, I actually thought that would be like a 30-34 type game in my mind. And the Buffalo Bills defense, man. And this is without Von Miller. So they're not even after. He might be coming back soon. He might be coming back soon.
But that's the only team I'd be scared of.
What?
That's the only team I'm genuinely scared of if I'm the Dolphins.
Only team. Okay. I get it. So the Bills, obviously, right now they're the better team, and we saw that last weekend that they're the better team. Okay, let's talk about Kansas City again, man. Kansas City against, like, I know for a fact that Kansas City defense was not that impressive against Zach Wilson. Couldn't really get to him. Like, okay, the Jets, maybe they got bored. I don't know if it was the Taylor Swift hype got like everyone like not focused or not.
That's exactly what it was.
I think that's what it was because I just
circus.
Like the circus from last week, and obviously blowing it out, and every single time they score a touchdown, they zoom in on Taylor Swift and talk about the relationship, whatever. I'm all football, baby. Almighty. And I feel like the Jets and the rerun it back. She's from the New Jersey area. A bunch of other celebrities were also there watching the game. Saw like a little celebrity, a little Hollywood, didn't really take the Jets seriously. Zach Wilson, people on live TV calling him trash. No one take the team seriously. And Zach Wilson balled out against this Chiefs defense. Like he threw some back over the shoulders. The Lazard to the tight end Kai. Like, so the Jets actually put up a decent fight. But if you look at it now, the Chiefs are 3-1. They have a plus-minus differential of plus 41. They're going to win the division again, and they're going to be back in the AFC Championship again. And am I going to bet on them against the Miami Dolphins? Like the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, those are teams that have been elite for the last couple of years. I'm taking both those guys over the Miami Dolphins any day of the week still. Even though the Miami Dolphins offense, it's beautiful to watch. The creativity. I love McDaniels on offense. A-Chan looking like Jamal Charles on some runs, man. He looking real nice.
There you
go. He is fast and he runs with like a shifty. Like he doesn't run like a traditional running back.
Starts
like
insane.
I watch Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, I watch Isaiah Pacheco run. Yeah, cute little running back, man. That guy just runs hard. Like he got no skill. He just like full, like the way he runs is so physical and so like straightforward, if you know what I mean. Like he's really good against the Jets, but nothing special about him. He's a basic running back, man. But when I watch A-Chain run, man, that kid is something special, man. And he wasn't even a first-round pick or a second-round pick. He's a late-round pick, man. And he just, like, the way he runs is so graceful to watch. So I love the running back that they got. Good job on the scouting to find this kid because I didn't think there was any hype for this kid coming out of school compared to other players. So shout out to the Miami Dolphins for getting him. But, man, that road, and I look at the NFC right now. The NFC with the Detroit Lions right now, defense was the problem last year.
Yes.
Their defense this year has reinvented
stepping up for sure.
Hutchinson, that kid is great. That kid is great. The number of sacks this thing get on the quarterbacks, the amount of pressure they put quarterbacks under is beautiful watch. And I like their corners too. Like I feel like inside and outside, this team's got it all on defense. And offensively, Jared Goff still scares me a little because like the offensive line has to play perfect.
Yeah,
because he can't move. Jared Goff is a statue, so the offensive line got to play perfect. But they got the run game going with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They got a little two-headed monster, even though that two-headed monster, you got a big head and D-Mon, and the small head is obviously Jahmyr Gibbs right now. So they got a little running attack that is doing extremely well. And last year we already saw a sample of the run game, but now you just got better player in David Montgomery over Jamal Williams. Gibbs and Swift, very similar type players. So, not much of an upgrade in my opinion. So the run game is still there, and Amon-Ra St. Brown this year proving himself to be an elite wide receiver again. The 2 years ago, people thought it was a fluke at the end of the year. Last year, a great season, got injured. This year, he's staying healthy, being that guy that's consistent every night. Great route runner, even though he's more of a slot guy. And they might be getting a little more help on the outside too, coming back from suspension for gambling. So,
and you said
we haven't seen the we haven't seen the best of the Detroit Lions back, and maybe incorporate another potential.
But you're picking them over the 49ers.
49ers, that's the one team.
No, he's not.
The 49ers are nasty. That team on offense, 30-plus points a game, easy barbecue chicken in on defense, just smashing people. Absolutely smashing people on defense.
30 points alone from McCaffrey, pretty much. That's really all they need, man.
It's insane. It's insane. CMC is putting up an MVP caliber season at the running back position because he plays not only running back, he plays the wide receiver position too. So, obviously the 49ers, that team scares me. But outside of that, nothing really scary outside of that.
You're bugging. Eagles? You're bugging.
Eagles,
he's bugging.
I'm not scared of the
bugging.
Eagles.
You're not scared of the Eagles.
You don't even believe it. You don't even believe it. This is content right now, people.
And do not say the Cowboys, man, because I ain't scared of the Cowboys.
I'm with you there.
Beat bad teams really well, but against good teams,
they always fail in the playoffs.
Significantly more. So the Cowboys, I don't want to talk about the Cowboys, man. I just feel like every year in the playoffs they underperform. The Detroit Lions play the Cowboys. Lions will probably be underdog. I'll be betting plus money.
Yeah, I'd bet the
Detroit Lions over the Cowboys. Eagles obviously last year made it to the Super Bowl this year. Even though they've won, they're 4-0. Just wasn't really impressed against the Commanders. Sam Howell,
Commanders are good. The Commanders are good, Zoo.
Okay,
they're good. Sam Howell's a baller. If you watch that game, he's a baller.
Dude, okay, it's a cute team. You got a cute quarterback. You got a cute team, man.
He's bugging.
They barely beat them, man. The Commanders. So
all right, let me say this real quick.
Barely beat the Patriots. That's a garbage team.
They beat the Chiefs by 1. Zoo.
I can't argue that.
What? They beat the Chiefs by 1 without Travis Kelce. Okay, the Lions.
Who did? Oh yeah, the Lions.
Without Travis Kelce and with Kadarius Toney dropping everything in sight, they lose that game. All right. The Seahawks, they lose in overtime. That is a wild card team in the NFC, and they lose at home.
A good team.
At home.
They lost to a good team. They lost to a good team.
They lost to a solid team. I'd say on the same tier as them.
They're a good team.
They're on the same tier.
They're a good team. Okay.
Okay, then they beat the Falcons.
Yeah.
Who was 2-0 at the time.
Whooped them.
Okay, Sean, let's relax. Don't worry. The Bears are 2-0 a couple times in my life, all right? And that turned out to be a losing season, all right? And then they beat the Packers, who have not been that impressive, okay?
They whooped them. No, it's not. Okay,
you're right. They whooped them. You're right.
Beating the Chiefs only.
They did smack them around.
But they
smacked the bad teams, and then they lost to a Seahawks team that went off on offense. I'm like,
you want to make a bet here, Zoo? Week 6. So not this week, but the week after. They play the Bucs. I bet the Bucs win that game.
Where is it at?
At Tampa.
No chance. Even if it was at Tampa,
I'll bet you $10.
I think.
Let's go.
No chance.
Boom.
Let's go. Virtual man. Let's go Lions, baby.
Let me ask you a question. So let me ask you, we're talking about the top teams. So as we mentioned with the NFC, it's Dallas, 49ers, and the Eagles in the NFC. And then I guess in the AFC, you could say the Bills, Chiefs, and just for good measure, throw the Ravens in there. The reason why I kind of, and with Zoo is, I kind of feel like the Lions, with just how balanced they are on offense and their defense, which for me, how I judge a defense is, do you have an elite pass rusher? They have that with Aiden Hutchinson. And I think Brian Branch, one of their corners, which they have other solid corners, but him being more of an impactful rookie, he could be a nice second or third corner. I mean, I don't know how long. Is he out for the season or something? I don't know if he is.
I don't know, but he went down once, and then he went back in, and he got hurt again.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he comes back, which I don't think he's their best corner, but I think he's a nice depth piece that I didn't think was going to be an impactful guy because he was a Bama guy. So, but him being a nice piece, if he's able to come back, I do think their team is very, very balanced. And even though Zoo brought up the point about Jared Goff kind of being a little iffy, I do think he's steady enough to where I don't know if he's going to make the massive mistakes to where he's going to lose them a game if he plays within himself. Now, if they get down 3 or 4 scores and he's having to throw it over the yard, even though they got a bunch of weapons, I don't trust him doing that. I like when he plays with it. It's kind of like how Kirk Cousins, like when he had Dalvin Cook and he has Justin Jefferson, if he's able to play solid, I think he can make a nice playoff run because I'm never, ever scared of the Cowboys. Never. Like until they can get to a Super Bowl or at least be impactful in the NFC Championship game, never scared of them. 49ers, I'm definitely scared of. Definitely scared of them because they're complete on both sides of the ball. The Eagles, I'm definitely scared of because Jalen Hurts hasn't lost but one game in like 20 starts. So you can't just poo-poo that and be like, oh, the Eagles or whatever. Like, and to Zoo doesn't like the Commanders, but I think the Commanders, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're gonna be a tough out for a lot of teams. Even though they didn't look good against Cardinals. They're going to be 8-9-8 team, but
they'll be the Lions of last year.
They barely beat the Broncos by 2. They barely beat the Broncos by 2 points, man. And they
almost beat the Eagles.
That was like Sam Howell's like second or third start. Like,
and then they got
going to get better as the year goes on.
37-3. Like
it's the Bengals.
I know.
It's the Bengals. They blow everybody out except for whatever the first team was.
On the side of average, I think they're more below average than above average. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say.
That's fair. But with the Dolphins, I kind of feel like not KFC. Why do I say KFC? Kansas City. They're playing possum, I feel like. I think it was a spectacle with that whole, like, it's just a bunch of crap going on with Taylor Swift. It's just a bunch of noise. Like, you see Mahomes, he's trying to force feed kills. It's just a bunch of crap going on. Like, once they figure stuff out, they'll be fine because they're Kansas City and they have Mahomes. I think, I'm high on the Ravens. I think Lamar is good. I think what'll be the telltale sign for them is if Odell can be somewhat healthy and they can develop somebody with Zay Flowers. And you have Mark Andrews, and I like Baltimore's defense. The only thing that scares me about Miami is Tua's health, which you can do that with any team. Like if the quarterback gets hurt, you're done. But I also think I don't know at the apex, like Mahomes and Allen being like the dudes, like that is daunting. And more than likely, they're going to be on the road. So to your point, if they got to go to Buffalo in the January. And then Kansas City isn't the coldest place. Like, yeah, but I do think the Lions, like,
they're gonna play in the wild
I think their style. I think their style can adjust. I think their style can adjust better because they're gonna have the ability to really run the ball with those. Because I think Gibbs is gonna continue to get better. They're gonna be able to run the ball way better than I know. A-Chain and them are doing well now, but I don't think that's Miami's identity. I think their identity is throw it around the yard. Because when they were tearing up Buffalo, I think it was
win a random game doing that. My point is the Lions are more methodical.
In Buffalo, you better be able to run the ball in January.
Not in Buffalo in January. I agree. That's my point is there's one team that truly scares me in the AFC, and that's the Buffalo Bills. The Kansas City Chiefs, they haven't shown me.
Not Kansas City.
Kansas City would scare me.
That would scare me. The last 4 years, that
would scare me.
That would scare me.
Not as scared as years past.
Oh, stop, please.
Not as scared as the Bills this year.
Don't let the Jets game where Patrick Mahomes played like
that's what it is. They made Zach Wilson like a god. That's why
he lost to the Lions. He didn't look great against the Jets. Trust me, Zoo, I follow everything, man. My team is literally the read zone. All right, I'm watching every Chiefs game in full.
Exactly. Right? You know what's happening? You gave me a little recency bias, man, because they were
argue the same thing about the Lions.
They were actually awful.
You could argue the same thing about the Lions, Zoo. I just think the Lions have not been tested to their full extent, and I think if you put the Niners or the Eagles in front of them, they're done.
I think the Lions are more of a two-way team, offense and defense. While Miami is a one-way show. It's a beautiful show on offense. Yeah. It's a beautiful show on offense.
The quarterback Miami has is better.
Yeah, it is better. Tua is definitely better than Jared Goff. But if you have a defense that is that bad, and you have Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes on the other side, they're going to exploit it.
I agree.
Andy Reid against a bad defense with Mahomes is going to exploit that. Josh Allen with his weapon, like Stephon. Oh, Jesus, Stephon.
Jared Goff is not scared of Brock Purdy. Jared Goff's not going to be scared of Brock Purdy because I'm not high on Brock Purdy. I think he's against Brock Purdy.
He's playing against Bosa. And he's playing against that stud defense, and he's not worried about Brock Purdy.
I give you the Niners. The Niners are a scary team. That's a scary team.
And so are the Eagles.
The Eagles are scary.
I don't think
Really? You know what this is coming down to?
I don't
This
think
is
the
coming
Eagles
down
are
to.
scary on defense. They lost a lot of players on defense.
Sure.
Jalen Carter's a monster, though. He is a monster,
shout
dude.
out to the Bears for giving.
he runs like a linebacker, and he's like 340 pounds. It's kind of crazy how. But you know what this is coming down to, though? You know what I think this is coming down to? It's coming down to, I think we all agree 49ers and Bills are like elite, like the top of the top. It's like, who are you scared of more, the Eagles or the Chiefs? That's what it's really coming down to. That's what we're arguing.
Not even close.
Who you're scared of more.
I'm thinking the guy that won the defending champions with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, man. I'm scared of that team. Because they haven't done anything.
Not if they're getting distracted by Taylor Swift all year.
They have not played well. And
Taylor Swift's going to have to get off the payroll real quick. I'll be with you more people. If Taylor Swift is still running around with the Chiefs in week 11, then I'm going to be like, all right, I might have to shift my focus to the Dolphins because, I think that the Chiefs I'm nervous about.
Well, because in my point, I also think the Eagles have a better chance against the Niners than the Chiefs do against the Bills.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yep.
So, I don't know. If you have those teams in a playoff game again,
I'm just talking about it separately.
You're going to bet on the Buffalo Bills over the Kansas City Chiefs
because they're going to have home field. They're going to have. That's going to be
a home.
They're going to.
It depends on where home is. Yeah.
And I don't trust Pacheco. I don't trust Pacheco. I just don't. I don't trust him. I actually trust James Cook. James Cook's actually had a damn good year this year.
If he would score touchdowns, he would be an elite fantasy running back.
Dude, do you not see the correlate? They're finally running the ball, and the Bills are winning. Oh, my God. Holy crap. I don't know, dude. It's just I think this might finally be the year for the Bills. Is it too early to tell? Of course. But it's too early to tell about all these things. That'll be a home field.
Whoever gets home field advantage wins that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think. If it's in Buffalo, I'm going Buffalo. If it's in Kansas City, I'm going Kansas City because Mahomes, they ain't going to lose at home, and I don't think Allen and them. I don't think Mahomes this year could probably go on the road and beat. Has Mahomes even been on the road in the playoffs? I don't think he has.
No.
So that would be. I don't know if I can even trust that.
Invitational for a reason, man.
Yeah.
Invitational for a reason. They play at home every year. Because they win.
Not this year.
Yeah, I actually want to see that. I want to see him go to Buffalo and see if he could pull one out. That would be something to see because I haven't seen Mahomes on the road. So yeah, that would. Mm-hmm. I would be siding with the Bills, but I would love to see Mahomes go do that. But yeah, I do think the Eagles if we're picking out of Eagles and 49ers and Bills and Chiefs, I do think Eagles will probably match up a little bit better versus the 49ers versus the Chiefs. But my thing is more so honestly why I would pick the Lions because I just like those odds. Like plus 2,000, I feel like it's really freaking good odds for the Lions. Like, that is awesome odds. Like because they're probably going to win that division, and if they get like the first home play
division,
they're probably going to win a playoff game, and then
only one bye. So they're going to play. I was looking at it though. And they could potentially be matching up with the Cowboys or the Seahawks.
Give me the Lions in both of those.
They already lost against the Seahawks.
I feel like, but there was an overtime game. It was
at home.
The band was on the field. There was a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh my god.
But I like the Lions, and like I said, I've never trusted the Cowboys.
It's an interesting year. There's a couple teams that are kind of
for sure
finally reaching the culmination of contention.
Because you know who else I was thinking about putting in that like AFC NFC thing was
the Bears. I'm just kidding.
I don't even know what their odds were. I have no idea what the odds were. It was probably
plus $1 million,
plus 8,000. But I was thinking about putting the Bengals in there, but I don't know if Joe's going to get healthy.
Nah.
So I just couldn't make that. I don't think it would have been as compelling
because he blaming it on his health, man.
What did I say to you guys, man? Fade Joe Burrows, man. I'm telling you that injury.
Hey, you were talking about Jamar Chase all year, man. Come on, man.
What are you talking about?
That's your guy, Sue.
What are you talking about? I do love the talent, man, but I said fade Joe all year.
Yeah, what did Chase say? What did Chase say after the game?
I'm always open.
I'm always. He probably is true, man. It probably is true. If he got a quarterback that's healthy, oh man,
he's sick. He's sick because he's in a contract year. That's why he's sick and he's pissed off, which I understand. Because now they're gonna leverage this and be like, well, you know,
you see his buddy Justin Jefferson over in the Vikings getting 150 yards a game.
Yeah, he's eating every game.
God.
And I still think it's crazy that he's eating what Kirk. Like I love Kirk, but like Kirk Cousins is getting him those passes. Like if he just had, if he had like Trevor, imagine if he was in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, like he'd be putting up Justin Jefferson numbers. But
I don't know, Calvin Ridley's there.
We can talk about all that. Yeah, he's got to figure it out too. Because I'm trying to trade for him in fantasy. So
Butterfingers, man.
Yeah, he's gotta get on track. He's starting like a one-hit wonder. He's like a one-hit wonder. But it's still early fantasy. But we're gonna transition to our week 5 bets this year, but switching it up with our former. It was the former of the 3-leg parlay, but now introducing the 2-leg parlay.
2-leg parlay
with our correspondent B. Bush.
Yeah,
a little better odds.
You know,
a little easier.
It's not even
better
odds,
odds actually.
I think
three touchdown predictions is just tough, man.
Well, see, the thing is, so last year I was looking at my analysis last year, and I went one game above 500. I played 15 weeks last year, and I went 8-7 in my 3-leg parlays last year. It was my bread and butter. Sorry, America, I'm letting you down this year. I just seem to be getting 1 week off on every single one. Call it what you want. You know, I was telling the guys before, Devontae Adams, obviously last week it was James Cook, Madison, and Devontae Adams. You know, one of them, James Cook, finally did find the end zone. Like I said, you know, he was due. Devontae, obviously, having missing that first half kind of set him off to a rocky start. And Madison was getting a lot of work. The Vikings just decided to throw the ball, which doesn't surprise me, even though they were against one of the worst rush defenses in the Carolina Panthers. So, unfortunate, but as Sean said, we're doing a 2-leg segment now. And this week I'm looking at 2 guys, different positions. I'm looking at Garrett Wilson and I'm looking at Jalen Hurts. Now, you guys might be thinking, why Garrett Wilson? You're just riding the Zach Wilson train. Yeah, I am a little bit. But they're playing the Denver Broncos, the worst pass defense in the league this year. 6 touchdowns to opposing wide receivers. Not that I'm saying that, you know, Zach Wilson's going to go off for a 35-point fantasy performance, but I just think the amount of target shares that Garrett Wilson gets, Pat Surtain, to Sean's point, pre-production potentially. I don't know if we were talking about it, but he needs to prove himself a little bit, and he's got a tough matchup this week against Wilson. So I don't think this is an absolute lock. It is very good value right now. I'm seeing about the plus 130, plus 140 range for Garrett Wilson, which, to my point about target share, I think that's pretty strong. I think you could also consider Breece Hall in there as well. He could be another potential. I think he's also kind of a James Cook due situation when it comes to the end zone. But I am leaning towards Garrett Wilson this week as part of the 2-leg. The other part, as I mentioned, was Jalen Hurts, man. Going up against the Rams, we are kind of putting aside, not that the Rams are a great football team, but their offense has been pretty damn explosive even without Cooper Kupp. Stafford and that offense have been moving the ball. Kyron Williams has been an absolute monster out of nowhere this year. I don't think a lot of people saw him coming.
Nope.
And I just think that this obviously helps Hurts. The thing about the Eagles, and Zoo pointed out in our last segment, is that their defense is not to the caliber that it was. On the run stopping, it is still a very tough team to run against. That opens up the passing lanes for Stafford, which means this could be a high red zone usage game on both sides of the ball. And I think, you know, Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns this year, 2 against, I believe, the Vikings, and I think he scored 1 against the Bucs in week 3. So he didn't score last week, but I just think he has so many opportunities at the goal line, and even though they
he gets all the goal line carries, man.
Yeah, they like
Tush
Swift,
push.
they like
the rugby play.
The brotherly shove, dude. That's what they call it. Brotherly shove. So I just think he's plus 100 right now, and if he's in plus odds to score an anytime touchdown, I like that any day of the week. Like I said, he's just such a dual threat quarterback, and the Rams are the 3rd worst rushing defense against quarterbacks. They have given up 3 rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks this year, including Brock Purdy, and let me check the other one. I think it was Anthony Richardson. So that bodes well for me. I made a comparison last week to Richardson kind of being a younger version of Hurts at this point. I like the Jalen Hurts Garrett Wilson combo this week. And it's around the plus 400 range as of right now, subject to change as the week goes on.
Okay, man. Okay, I can't hate on that, man. I do love my boy Hurts. Man. I have in a lot of leagues this year. It's not really living up to my expectations right now. I have a little slow, rusty start, but him on the goal line is just the most obvious play ever. Like that play just does not fail. And we saw this weekend that I only saw Mac Jones try to pull that play off. Nope. Like you gotta be able to beat.
Jones is on borrowed time.
Yeah,
he's on borrowed time. He's got to figure it out and quick.
Patriots are lucky they signed Zappy to the practice squad when they did.
For real,
so he was available.
Yeah. So man, yeah. I like the Hurts fan. Garrett Wilson gets the Broncos. They have barbecue chicken, man. The Broncos.
Let's hope.
It even made Justin Fields look good, man. Him and TJ Moore looking at like that 1-2 punch that I was thinking at the beginning of the year that maybe it feels take that next step, but I guess it's only against the Denver Broncos you take that next step. And then you still lose. So, man, shout out to them, man. But for me this week, man, got a little redemption last week. Shout out to the Jags against those sorry-ass Falcons. This is what I said, man.
Dirty birds.
It's a fraudulent team, man. I'm like, a 3-point spread, even though it was technically nobody has like a home field advantage. Like the Jags are just better. And the Jags just dominated that game. No sweat at all. It was only -3. Covered that easily. Those are the best feelings ever, covering a spread by a lot, man. So shout out to the Jags for getting it done. Trevor Lawrence didn't really even have that good of a game. I thought, yeah, okay game. Like, they didn't even go too crazy. It's just that the Falcons' offense is just not good.
Don't get me
started. Outside of Bijan doing his nice looking jukes, like the offense is just not pretty to watch. You guys mentioned Desmond Riddler. He probably bottom 2 quarterback in the NFL up there, probably with Zach Wilson and maybe some other guy. Like he's just not a good NFL starting quarterback. So that was a pretty easy pick for me last week. But this week, man, I'm gonna go for a team that is, I would say, the consensus favorite right now. But I see -4 for the 49ers against the Dallas Cowboys, man. I feel like this is NBC prime time Sunday night, man.
Great game.
I feel like the Niners are going to blast them. I think right now it's -4. I see them winning it by 10 points. That's what I see in my mind.
Would you buy alternate?
Yeah, man, I might go alternate, but I'm going to stick with the spread because the spread's been nice to me this year. I'm going with the 49ers -4 against the Dallas Cowboys at home. And this Niners offense, like we talk about the defense, like how great they are. Let's focus on the offense right now. Brock Purdy last week, man, played almost a perfect game. Only one incompletion.
Pretty much did, yeah.
Pretty much. One incompletion. Brock Purdy probably had his best game ever as an NFL starting quarterback, going 20 for 21, 95% completion percentage. Had a touchdown, had a nice little cute little rushing touchdown. Had a biblical performance from Christian McCaffrey, man. 4 touchdowns, man. The guy is an absolute phenom. Like this guy is like we're watching a generational running back player. Right.
He's averaging 30 points per game in PPR this year.
Insane.
That's ridiculous.
Insane, man. Like the dude is an RB1 and a wide receiver 1. He's having that type of season. And with a guy like Shanahan that knows how to utilize them, McCaffrey in the red zone, oh my God. It's the most obvious thing ever. They just don't get stopped in the red zone. No. They just don't get stopped in the red zone. And that's the thing with the Cowboys. Even the Cowboys dominated the Patriots. They struggled in the red zone. And I would know
cannot score in the red zone.
Because I played against the freaking kicker, and that dude had like 1 million field goals, man. I swear to God, man. They just
Maher, I think.
Yeah. Oh, man. That hurt so much. I watched because the freaking kicker on the Dallas Cowboys went the hell off. The Kansas City kicker couldn't match up with his firepower. So if you don't score against the red zone against this Niners team, good luck. If it's against Mac Jones, okay, you don't got to worry about them getting points, man. Mac Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, old Zeke Elliott, they ain't getting buckets on offense. But you get this Niners team that has scored a minimum of 30 points a game. Minimum of 30 a game. Good luck. Brandon Ayuk coming out party. Last year he had his 1,000+ yard season, but I feel like this guy is going to that elite status of wide receiver right now because he has 6 targets, 6 catches, 140+ yards. Absolute incredible performance by Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuels was used as a decoy because the guy was had a little injury. So Deebo Samuels, hopefully he gets a little healthier. But him, Christian McCaffrey, and obviously George Kittle not doing much this year as a pass catcher, man. But as a blocker, he still does that job. That run attack is absolutely beautiful. So I have this team. This team probably I think is the best team in football right now.
Easily.
Yeah, best team in football right now.
They're the best team.
-4 only against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that they do great at beating up bad teams. When they
do the job.
They're a great front runner. But coming back playing against good teams, good luck, man, against this Niners team. Because this is a team that I believe should have made the Super Bowl if Brock Purdy didn't get injured against the Eagles last year. So this team is ready to go. They're fully healthy and -4, baby. I'm locking it in right now, man. -4.
I like that.
That's also a all-time uniform matchup. Classic uniform.
Oh, yeah, the red and gold.
I almost wish Dallas, which they never do, but I loved, even though I'm not a Cowboys fan, I love the navy blue when they wear the navy blue. That'd be awesome if they wore that. Yeah, if they wore the deep navy and
silver helmets
had their red uniforms.
That's a nice jersey.
That would be classic. Like I said last week, I threw out a money line odd, and the Bears almost let me hit. because I was like just thinking of the averages. And I was thinking, so I was like, well, maybe because it almost hit. Let me just, if I find a money line odds that I kind of feel like are decent enough, and I want to throw it out there, I'll do it every once in a while in the week. But this week, I just thought about this, and speaking to Zoo last week, he had the Jags versus the Falcons, and the Jags covered for him. I kind of like the Jags this week against the Bills on the money line, just because they stayed in London for the week.
Wait. Did I hear that right? Money line?
Yes, it's plus 198. And this is only because I think Jacksonville has been there the entire week, and the Bills, even though they would never admit it, I do think they got up for that Miami game because it was like, you guys think you're the best team in this division? Let me show you how we do this in Buffalo, and we're going to stomp you out. So I do think there's going to be a natural coming down. And you factor that with the Jags being there already, they're already comfortable in London. They've been there.
That's true.
I think the line is like plus or minus 4 Bills.
5.5.
I think the Jags could sneak that. I think they could sneak that. Trevor in the offense didn't look great. That's the only thing that's kind of like, this is a tough bet because I still don't understand why he doesn't have any rhythm with Calvin Ridley. And Christian Kirk is starting to have a resurgence, which is like, what the hell's going on?
What the heck's going on?
Dude, but Sean,
that's
to
annoying.
your point though, we saw what A-Chain did to them last week. Travis Etienne could have a huge week against the Bills.
He could have
I'm expecting them to have a big week against the Bills, and if they can dominate the play clock, just the game clock, and that will just put them not in favor 100% because they aren't the better team, but it will only swing in their favor if they can dominate the time of possession.
Plus 198, Trevor Lawrence.
That is a long shot.
I kind of like it.
Nice long shot.
It's a long shot odds. Like I said, I took one. The only reason why I'm feeling myself is because in my head, I think the Bears won me last week, even though they lost. I just think because that was such a long shot odds and then they almost pulled it off. I'm like, let me see if I can play with a little fire.
You're not allowed to bet on Bears games anymore.
Yeah, I'm done. Listen, I'm never touching the Bears again unless it's like a Justin Fields rushing total or something. I'm never touching it again. But I like that Jacksonville was there for the whole week. They're already comfortable there. The Bills, they're feeling themselves. They're probably looking at Jacksonville like, let's go ahead and take care of Trevor Lawrence and them this week. I think Trevor and them are going to come out because now I want to say they're 2-2. So they're kind of, we just talked about the AFC and the perennial teams, and I think a lot of people are forgetting about Jacksonville, and it's just because their offense hasn't looked as good, and they kind of been playing around with the, I don't think they played as well against the Texans, and the Colts for that matter. But to me, it's like, hey, they're probably looking at everybody like, do you guys remember we played a pretty good game against Patrick Mahomes, barred he was hurt, but it's like we played decent against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. So I think they have a little confidence, and they're going to try to maybe make a little bit of a statement against the Bills. But that's a long shot odd. So don't place your life savings on that one. That's just something to be like, if you got a little extra cash, go ahead and throw a little bit on that.
Disposable income,
Yeah, disposable income. You got a little bit disposable income. Go ahead and place a little money on that. But that's definitely the pod for today. Went a little bit longer, but we had to go extra because of the NBA and which is going to be starting real soon. I think around 18th or 19th.
10 days, man. I think it's like 10 days for preseason. So it's
for sure. So everybody needs to tune into that. Make sure you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Been doing some reading. Google Podcasts, I think they're going away. I'm not sure. I don't know if they have a certain date on that. So if you guys are listening on Google Podcasts, make sure you try to get an Apple Podcast subscription and a Spotify podcast subscription. If not, we're always on YouTube, Quantro knows, so you can watch this. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.